Denver travels to Baltimore to face the Ravens in a game with massive AFC playoff picture implications. Battle of two 5-3 teams. We got Bo Nix, Lamar Jackson, the number one offense in terms of yards per play in the NFL. No secret who that is. The Baltimore Ravens versus the number one defense in the NFL in terms of yards per play, the Denver Broncos. How, what matchups are you looking for to decide this one?
I'm looking for both of these run defenses. I mean, they've got their work carved out for them. Obviously, the Denver Broncos, they're one of the top defenses, if not the top defense in the National Football League. Well, they're going against a future first ballot Hall of Famer, Derrick Henry. Couple that with Lamar Jackson. That defense is going to have a lot to have their eyes on in the backfield at the mesh point. I think about that second level of the defense. I talked about this when the Ravens played the Commander, but those two linebackers in the middle of the field are going to have their eyes going everywhere. When I used to watch like a show like Pokemon, they said, beware, bright lights, flashing lights could cause seizures if you look at it too long. Well, that's kind of like playing the Ravens offense. There's so friggin' much to look at for a defense. So are you able to read your keys the right way, play downhill, and stop this Ravens running attack? And for the Ravens, I mean, they've stopped the run effectively all year, but they know that the Broncos are going to want to try to get into that running rhythm early and often. And then it comes down to stretching the football field for Bo Nix. We've seen him have completions at or around the line of scrimmage, short intermediate routes, middle of the field stuff. I want to see him stretch the field. Take the top off this defense. Show some cards in your hand that you haven't necessarily thrown on the table thus far this season. We've really enjoyed watching Bo Nix take care of the football, work in lockstep with Sean Payton, but I want to see him kind of maybe get the call from the sideline, walk into the huddle and said, screw that. We're going downtown Julie Brown. We're going at this Ravens defense, and we're going to see if they can stop it. I can't wait to watch this game, man. It's, offense versus defense. It's going to be a whole lot of it, Mike.
Yeah, every week there's like one game that I kind of set aside that's like the all 22 that I want to get to first. And this week it is for sure going to be Baltimore's offense versus this Broncos defense because there's so many great matchups, whether it's, OC versus DC, Todd Monken, the Baltimore Ravens offense coordinator versus Vance Joseph, and what he's done from a blitzing perspective and all he does with those fronts to confuse opposing offensive lines, whether it's those guys on the outside, Riley Moss, Pat Surtain, for my money, the best cornerback duo in the NFL through the first half of the season against Nelson Aguilar, Rashad Bateman, and now Deontay Johnson, the best separating trio of wide receivers of any team in the NFL. Those guys get open at will. I don't think the Broncos are going to be scared to play man, though. I think they're going to want to disrupt that timing on the outside, but that can be a dangerous game when you have a guy like Lamar Jackson who can extend those plays. So I really have no handle on where it's going to go. I do think that with this Ravens offense and all the answers they have, you can only really contain them. You ain't going to stop them outright. Even when you're correct, sometimes Lamar Jackson makes you wrong. So I do think the Ravens still put up points, but this is a tough matchup for them. I think this is a team that really has answers for a lot of things the Ravens want to do. The one place I'm not sure they have answers, though, are these tight ends. I expect them to get really involved, and I expect them to have a run-heavy game plan going into Denver so that basically Lamar's not getting killed. He was held out of practice with some lingering injuries. Nothing serious, obviously, yesterday. But you don't want him to be subject to the pressure that Denver can put on opposing QBs because they have the most pressures of any defense in the NFL this season. That edge group is lightning rods up and down that roster, whether it's guys like Jonathan Cooper, whether it's guys like Nick Bonito, whether it's guys like Baron Browning. They can track down Lamar Jackson in space. So, again, I'm not going to say one way or the other which way it's going to go. I don't have a handle, but it's going to be awesome, awesome football to watch.
Yeah, and usually Lamar Jackson just has the power of him being a superhuman, and he dangles that over his oppositions. But to your point, there's a lot of speed on that Denver defense. And I look at the injury report; it's back and it's back/knee for Lamar Jackson. So not only is that back going to be a little bit tight, but it's that knee, the mobility, the ability to get out in space and make plays. That's what Lamar Jackson has. That's where he's made his hay in the National Football League. He's been a great passer as well, but we all know the superhero effect comes from those legs. If the Denver defense has a really good rush plan, they can cage rush this guy. It'll be interesting to see how he is able to evade that pressure because you and I both know Vance Joseph is not afraid to rush 7, 8, and drop 3 guys back there in defense. They're confident in man coverage, so it's not like they're hanging a bunch of Jags out to dry on the back end. When you're rushing those 7, you're hoping to come down with the football on the back end from a rush throw.
Yeah, and just on the other side of the football, when Bo Nix is operating with this Denver offense, I do think they will get this passing game on track. I mean, shoot, everyone has against this Baltimore Ravens defense, the worst pass defense in the NFL in terms of yards per game this season. We just saw Jameis and this seemingly inept Cleveland Browns passing game just run roughshod over them, 334 passing yards. And they could still be down Marlon Humphrey and Nate Wiggins. And if that's the case, Bo Nix is going to feel like he's back playing Carolina again with the guys they're throwing out there. And I think he's going to take some deep shots. But it's, do we see the Knicks we've seen of late? Or does a big away game against a guy he just said earlier this week that he grew up idolizing, grew up watching play, and how it's going to be a little surreal for him? Is the moment going to be too big for the rookie? And we're going to see the guy we saw weeks 1 and 2.
And that'll be a lot of fun, man. There's no better way to measure yourself up than against the two-time MVP. I mean, obviously there's others names out there, Josh Allen's, Joe Burrow's, Patrick Mahomes, but Lamar Jackson, man, come on. And you're talking about the best offense versus the best defense. Can you go be the leader on your side in the Denver clubhouse that puts you over the edge? Can you make some big plays that lets all the pundits, all the media elite, all the Twitter tough guys talking about you the next day? Are they going to be talking about Bo Nix and his rise to dominance from that Denver team? It's going to be a lot of fun, Mike.
And I'll say this with Sean Payton. You know he's got a trick up his sleeve. You know he's going to come out with some trick play, something to try to flip this game on its head. So very exciting. One of my favorite games to watch this weekend.